Good evening, boxing family. Welcome to Enter the Ring Live with your hosts, Mighty Mike.
AJ Rage.
And Eric the Red.
What's going on, brothers?
Another day in this living hell.
I second that.
I'm telling you, man, things just don't seem like they're getting any better, man. You know.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel, but somebody told me that I was supposed to pay my electric bill. I guess I don't know.
Oh, you forgot to pay your electric bill.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing all right. What are you doing, bro? Eric, how you doing, bro? That was Oregon.
Cold, rainy, wet?
Cold, rainy, wet, horrible. But at least tomorrow, over Thursday, Friday, we're supposed to have a little break in the weather on the coast where I will be enjoying the sun, or not the sun, but at least enjoying the beach.
Without the rain.
If you've never been to the Oregon coast, it's beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous.
I wouldn't think that Oregon would have something like that, but I guess they do, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. But so 19 years for me and my beautiful wife.
Wow, man. 19 years. Wow.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Not as long as my younger brother or my older brother, for that matter. But hey, you know what? My hat's off to both of you.
Yeah, I mean that's one. Hey, that's one trend we broke in our family. We don't got that whole divorce law, except for but Eric did have a little. You got a little trip up, but I don't count that one. That was a mulligan, dude.
That was a mulligan. I don't count that one.
Hey, speaking of mulligan, have you guys had the urge to play golf like I have?
Yes.
Especially when you live next to a golf course like I do. I see it.
Yeah, we both do. You live next to a country club, and so do I. Eric, you have some nice golf courses there, right? But it's probably you got to get used to playing in the rain, though, right?
How about in 2 weeks, I sneak out of here and I drive down and we play around.
Dude, if you come all the way down here to play golf, we're gonna play more than one round.
All right.
If you come down here to play golf, dude, I'll get my buddies who were members at the Glendora Country Club, and we'll play there for free. Okay. And there's nobody in front of you and nobody behind you.
Free, beautiful,
dude. It's a beautiful course, man. But anyways, hey, it's warm here in Cal. Well, today it started off warm and then it got a little bit weird. But by Friday, we're supposed to have like 84 degrees here in the San Gabriel Valley. AJ, your area, I'm guessing like 87, 88 degrees, and it's supposed to stay hot all the way through the weekend. They're saying it's 20 degrees above normal temperatures for this time of year. I'm not mad about it because I actually want to just sit in my backyard. My pool's too cold to go in, but just to be able to sit back there for a few hours and just, get a little bit of sun, I feel like I'm playing goddamn ghost.
I actually do that with my kids, and my wife, she does that every morning. Even my dog loves it.
Sits out in the sun?
They sit in the sun for a while. You need it, man. You can't be cooped up all day.
No.
Your body needs it. I mean, I'm tan, so, I'm always in the sun.
Yeah, you need that vitamin D, and you need the sun, you know what I mean, to absorb it.
Exactly.
I'm white. I'm horrible. Up here in Oregon, we don't get the sun very often.
And now you know why I never want to move to Oregon, dude, because I don't want to be all pasty, bro.
Well, you can go to a tanning booth or something.
Yeah, but that's not good for you though. Mike scared me anymore. Mike scared me with that. Every time Mike got a little blemish or something, he thought he had melanoma and stuff and getting pieces of his body torn out. So I was like, dude, I'm not going to tanning booths anymore.
That's just brutal.
Well, hey, so let's get into talking boxing for this. God, I don't know, what is this, our third or fourth show of the year of 2021? Not a whole lot going on in boxing, especially this weekend, especially the way 2020 ended. I think our next big fight is not until the 23rd. And I'm not saying, there's some fights happening, but there's nothing that even is really on the radar that get excited about. But this week it was announced, I think just in the last 24 hours, that the Carl Frampton Jamel Herring fight has been made official for the 27th of February in London, which is, when I heard in London, I said, okay, props to Jamel Herring for taking
accepting that, yeah, especially with the way fights have been going out there and stuff lately.
Yeah, and he Carl Frampton's a former two-time champion, right?
Yeah.
Former two-time champion. He's been, campaigning at 135 pounds now. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 130. Campaigning at 130 now, right? So if you don't know who Carl Frampton is, I'm sure everybody does, but I actually was fortunate enough to see him fight live once. And man, Carl Frampton's a guy. He's undersized. He gives up height and reach to about everybody he fights.
Pretty much everybody fights, yeah.
But he's a scrappy guy, man.
I'll tell you what I like about this fight is the fact that Carl Frampton, I think, to me, can you hear my voice pretty good? Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of rejuvenated his career. That win over that Tyler McCreary, that undefeated kid, just kind of like, because Frampton had his shortcomings against, Josh Warrington. But I'm going to be honest with you, Josh Warrington is one of the dirtiest fighters I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the guy wasn't getting warned for anything, the tactics that he was doing.
Yeah.
Frampton the entire night. But since that loss to Warrington, he ran off 2 straight victories. So this is an interesting fight coming in against a guy like Jamel Herring, who's honestly a tough guy, very underrated for that division.
And I think if you look at momentum and how Frampton's been kind of looking good as of late, Jamel Herring didn't look all that great in his last fight.
No, against a kendo, he did not look
good. And he actually quit. He quit in the corner, and but he won the fight. He won the fight, but he quit, and he took a whole rash of heat for that. Deservedly so. I watched that fight and I said,
I was very disappointed in that fight.
Disappointed in him. I mean,
because Kendo was obviously winning the fight. He was winning the fight, and whatever the reason, Jamel Herring just wasn't feeling it. Maybe it was because one of the first fights, I believe it was at the Bubble, where there was no fans. So it was kind of a weird situation. But Herring coming off of that impressive victory, I would say impressive, close, tough victory over Lamont Roach, was a step in the right direction. And then he walks into the Kendo fight and just had no heart whatsoever.
No, he just didn't look like, I mean, I know that the fight had been postponed a couple of times due to COVID. Maybe he was suffering some of the lingering effects. We don't know. We don't know what he was feeling, but he's been a stand-up guy. He's a former Marine.
Yep.
Nothing to dislike about the guy.
No.
But when it comes to that last performance, it was a bit, he should have just finished the fight, went out on his shield. And I mean, he was losing the fight on my scorecard.
Yeah, he was losing.
But like anything, I mean, like AJ, you said this last Sunday on one of our shows about you could be remembered for giving a gutsy performance even in a loss. But to win cheap like that, because they knew they weren't going to take that title from him, Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, real quick, I don't know. Did you guys see this article? It says Frampton set to leave BT Sport after Warrington fight. And join the ITV.
Yeah, I think that already happened, bro.
That already happened.
I
That was a while back.
Well,
he was. I know he was really, like I said. I mean, if nobody's watched it, go back and just don't watch the highlights. Watch at least the first 3 rounds. Warrington got away with some atrocious stuff against Carl Frampton. I mean, the punches behind the head, the elbows, the pushing. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, he pretty much sucked Frampton's energy by the 6th round.
Yeah. And I know after that fight, I mean, as dirty as that fight was and as heated as it was in the buildup and all that, I mean, both guys were very respectful after the fight. But, I think that just comes with, I don't know, after sharing the ring for 12 rounds together, you kind of just, you just figure, hey, you know what? This is the total diametrically opposed to what we talked about last Sunday about how some of the fighters today, how they just disrespect the sport by their antics, whether it be pre-fight, in-fight, or post-fight. Yeah. And Carl Frampton and Warrington showed, like I said, even with the dirty fight, the dirty infighting and everything, and then all the trash talking that happened before the fight, because it was pretty heated before that fight ever took place.
Yeah.
And you figure
it's really out of Frampton's character, but I think he was just more insulted. By Warrington, I'm sorry.
Warrington, yeah. Well, he's a Northern Ireland guy, Belfast, and then Warrington, I think, is from the UK. So there's always a little bit of rivalry inside the UK. It's maybe like an East Coast, West Coast thing,
Well, plus Carl Frampton's friends with Lee Selby. I know they've always talked about they admire each other like this, and Warrington, they got that controversial decision over Selby, which I thought that was another fight where I thought Selby won and he got ripped off, and then you got Kid Gallahan also with Warrington, which was another one that was a split decision. So it's kind of, this guy's one of these fighters that just always seems to get a little lucky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's got a little bit of clout somehow, some way. But anyways, so that fight's taking place in London, like in about 6 weeks time. Which is exciting because I've been waiting for Frampton to get back in the ring with the current COVID situation in the UK with a complete lockdown. And it is under a complete lockdown again. I actually have a friend that's there right now, a friend of the family's who flew there to see a family member who's very ill, but it's completely locked down. You can't. I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, there's going to be obviously no fans. But then Herring, when he gets there, is going to have to follow a protocol. Like, okay, I got to get there 10 days in advance and test and test and test, every other day. And then I don't know, man. I mean, I hope let's cross our fingers that fight comes off.
Yeah. There's going to be a big question mark with it, only because things are kind of spiraling out of control right now in that area. Kind of like what's happening right now. Same situation in Canada. Canada is getting real extreme like that. I talked to a couple friends out in Canada. And now it's just starting to linger over into the United States. The United States having their issues and stuff like this. I don't really want to get into the whole COVID thing, but it's going to start taking its effect on the sport. And in a sport like boxing,
again,
where you don't get a lot of opportunities to get the fights that you need. When you get a fight and you lose it, a fighter needs more than one fight a year to support their family. It's tough,
Yeah, unless you're an Anthony Joshua or Canelo Alvarez, you can afford to fight once a year. You know what I mean?
Exactly, but you're making that kind of money. These other guys aren't making that kind of money.
Yeah, most of these guys, I would say 98 to 99% of the fighters out there are not making anything like the top 10, 20 guys in the sport. They're just not. So
no, they're not, and stuff like that. So I mean,
that fight, I believe, will be on ESPN Plus. I know it's going to be co-promoted by Top Rank, obviously, because of Jamel Herring. Carl Frampton is being co-promoted right now by Top Rank. Remember, his last fight was here in the States, I believe, right?
That's 27th, right?
Yeah, February 27th. But that leads us to the second topic for discussion tonight, and that's something that was just announced in the last 24 hours as well. Apparently, Bob Arum did an interview with Boxing Scene where he's talking about the upcoming schedule for ESPN and Top Rank Boxing. And there are no fights happening in the month of January. None at all.
It's insane.
There's that one happening in February, right? The 27th. So that's what, like almost the end of the month. And then nothing at all in March. Not one fight will be televised on ESPN in March. And there's going to be very limited shows for April, May through July. So the reasoning that Bob Arum gives is that, well, he's not going to go up against March Madness, the college basketball tournament that takes place every March, which obviously is highly popular. I mean, I can't say I've ever watched more than one game in my entire life, but college anyways. But this just kind of reaffirms, and it's funny how we'll have an opinion about something like where we feel the strength in boxing is, and we've said it on multiple shows. We feel the PBC is the strongest organization in boxing. We feel that they pay their fighters the best. They're putting the best fights on. They're the only one putting on quality pay-per-views. Now, this just reaffirms what we said. The PBC is the biggest thing going, because I couldn't for the life of me see Al Heyman and anybody involved with PBC say, well, you know what, we're going to take the month of March off because we don't want to compete with college basketball.
No.
The opposite, I think.
I think it's kind of comes over this way. The PBC is being run like a business, like an organization. Top Rank Boxing is being run by like a grumpy old grandpa that doesn't want to share with anybody else. So it's like it's going to be on his schedule. When he feels when he feels up to it, he wants to put something out there, then he'll do it and stuff. But the bigger question is going to be, Top Rank has a huge stable of fighters. At what point is Top Rank going to purge a lot of these fighters, or some of these fighters going to start jumping ship to possibly the PBC?
Yep. Well said.
When you think about it, quite honestly, I mean, this whole February, March whole crap for Top Rank, these fighters still need to make a living.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is crazy. How do you, we're just not going to do it because we don't want to compete. Well, you know what, Bob Arum, you whack job. What the hell's wrong with you? I'm sorry. But you know what? You have people depending on a fight and you don't do it?
Top Rank has got some fighters right now. I'll tell you right now, some marquee fighters too. Maybe not guys at the level of, say, Bud Crawford and a few others, but
they only fight.
They got these fighters are going to be teetering. They're going to probably go back and they're going to speak with their family. They're going to speak with their trainer, their manager. They're going to say, hey, look it, Bob's put the schedule out. So obviously it's not about these guys not getting matchups. It's about Bob's not going to fund it. He's not going to pull any money out in order to back these fights. So they're going to say, okay, so maybe I got to walk across the street over to the PBC or a smaller promotion, or maybe even venture to go into Europe or Japan or whatnot. But is Bob going to allow that to happen? Because Bob,
he's not going to allow that to happen.
He doesn't allow that to happen. So it's kind of like
he'll clog up the courts real quick. But for guys like like you said, maybe not maybe not the elite of the division. I'm not saying elite in terms of talent. I'm saying elite in terms of clout. Okay, you got Bud Crawford, you got Teofimo Lopez, a couple other guys. What about the Chon Cepedas, Jose Ramirez?
Yeah.
I mean, who am I thinking of? Shakur Stevenson. You've got guys that are about due for a fight. You know, I'm guessing sometime around, end of January, February. What, they're just not going to fight? What, are they going to wait until April, May to fight? So you're going to go damn near 5 months into the new year without a fight? Well, that is the recipe for disaster.
Well, absolutely. And especially when you got a guy like Chon Cepeda who's coming off of a career victory, something that was named by Ring Book Magazine the fight of the year. He wants to strike while the iron's hot. His name is in there. So he's not going to wait, just throw away an entire year. He's not going to do it.
Yeah, well, he's only co-promoted by Top Rank. I mean, his main promoter is Zanford Promotions, and I'm sure Fernando Beltran will look elsewhere. They'll take him to another platform. Maybe he jumps over and maybe he makes a fight with on the PBC. He fights one of those guys at 140, because I can't see him sitting around and waiting till May, June for Ramirez and Taylor to fight, and then waiting another 3 months after that. That's barring either of those guys. Let's say the winner of that fight comes out with a bad cut or something that's going to take an additional 4 to 6 weeks to heal. He's not going to sit around and wait, nor should he have to sit around and wait.
Well, have they even made the Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos? Have they made that official?
They haven't made it official.
So it doesn't look like it's on Bob's scope for the year.
Yeah, well, and that they're guessing. I read somewhere that they were looking like late spring for that, so like April, May, and Teofimo's very content with that.
Of course. But what about guys like Tyson Fury, Emmanuel Navarrete, Arthur Beterbiev? I mean, the list goes on. There's Burchelt. There's a lot of fighters out there right now. What are they going to do?
There's a lot of fighters. What do they do? I'd be pissed off. I'd be like, I don't give two shits about college basketball. Oh. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't believe that if you're a college basketball fan and March Madness fan, I mean, if a good fight's on, you're going to watch a good fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No matter what.
It's like anything. You just strategically place that fight to where maybe it's going to follow a big game, maybe a big, I don't know much about college basketball, but I don't know if it's a big Pac-12 game or a big ACC game or whatever. You know what I mean? Gonzaga against somebody, then you follow that game up with a big fight. I mean, the schedules are already out there. Obviously, COVID kind of, it has altered the schedule for sports. Games are getting canceled, postponed, moved around, whatever. But I don't know, man. If I'm a top ranked fighter, man, I'm saying, hey, you know what, man? What do I got to do to get out of this contract? Because I can't have 2021 be just like 2020. I can't be fighting one time a year,
Hey, so Mike, not to get off the subject. I mean, this has to do with Top Rank, but I'm sitting there. I was looking at their stable of fighters right now and stuff, and I noticed that I didn't see Devonta on there. Did Devonta officially kind of like quit, retire from boxing?
You know what? So he's not on Top Rank's website?
No, I'm not seeing him on here.
He's not. I don't know. I mean, I know that I talked to him right after that tough loss he took. So never. That was what, in August of 2019, right?
Correct. Yeah.
August of 2019. I mean, that was a tough loss. The last I heard, Panchito was back in Arizona. He was doing something with some investment properties or something like that. I mean, I'm sure if I reached out to him on the phone, I'd get an answer, but I don't know, man. I spoke with him directly after that fight. I'm talking that same night, late that night when we got back from LA, and he had said, "Hey, I'm going to come back stronger. This is going to motivate me. I know what I did wrong."
Yeah, it's really tough, man, because the time that I got to spend in the gym and stuff, observing Francisco, and for people that we're not talking about, we're talking about Francisco Panchito Devonta. He had a bout against Emmanuel Navarrete. It was his first fight under Manny Robles. This is a kid who has, amazing talent. He just had the wrong person pushing the buttons that night.
Fought the wrong fight.
And the thing is, it's a shame to see a young fighter, who loses his first loss against a guy who's considered one of the top guys in Navarrete. It was actually really too big for him. You see him just call it a day. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it'd be an opportunity. Maybe you can reach out to Francisco. Maybe we can get an interview. Maybe we can have him come on one day. We can just talk with him a little bit about what's going on with him right now. And if there is anything. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that definitely, I can definitely do that. And yeah, I mean, that was a tough one for us to watch. I mean, that was
very
tough.
Very tough.
That was tough, man. And it was at the Bank of America Stadium here in downtown LA. First boxing event ever held.
Great event. I mean, I'll tell you now, for anybody who didn't know it, you see, the thing is with a fighter like Devonta, you don't see fighters usually. I mean, especially with him coming up where he was exclusively mostly out of Arizona. But you talk about somebody that brought a fan storm. I mean, it was Devonta shirts everywhere. I mean, Emmanuel Navarrete had to walk in there and go, "Holy shit! I thought I was a champ," you know?
Yeah.
And if it would have been a Devonta victory, it would have been huge. And I think it would have catapulted him in some huge events at that point.
Even to finish the fight and box for the 12 rounds instead of standing there and trying to slug. But I know what happened. I mean, his ego took over and he says, "I'm going to stand and slug with this guy." Because I've seen him stand and slug with guys in the gym. I saw him spar. In fact, he was one of Jojo Diaz's primary sparring partners for right before Jojo Diaz fought Gary Russell. Because Panchito was kind of like a Gary Russell, a slick boxer, but I mean, he stood there and they traded for, I'm talking 8-10 rounds multiple times during that camp where both guys are busted up a little bit, bleeding. And Jojo Diaz is if you don't know anything about Jojo Diaz is a beast in sparring and a beast in the gym. Yeah. And he actually he's one of those guys that manages to somehow cut that last 10 pounds in like probably the last 2 weeks. What I can tell, because when he was in there sparring with Panchito, he was probably easily 135, 140. Yeah. And Panchito was probably like 125, 130. So he was physically still big. Because then when you see him, 10 days later on the scales, it don't even look like the same guy. I mean, he does really suck down to make that 126.
That's like Eric, dude. I mean, this guy could lose weight like this quick when he wants to, dude. It's crazy how fast he can lose weight.
Yeah, I haven't wanted to. So actually, I lost 24 pounds in the last 2 months. So
good for you, man. You look a little thin. That's good, bro. Take care of yourself, man. Go ahead, bro.
So anyway, Eric. Okay, so Eric, you're a business guy. You're a business guy. If you, okay, let's put it in terms of like you spent a lot of years in the car business. Now you're in the entertainment business. What if let's say you're working at a car dealership and across the way, Joe Smith Ford is having a big old freaking Memorial Day sale and they're slashing prices. Do you guys close up for that weekend or do you say, "Hey, fuck that. Hey, Eric Mendiola Chevrolet, we're having a bigger sale."
You get the freaking balloons out and you make it happen.
You get the clowns out there with hot dogs and you know what I'm saying? You get sodas. I mean, you don't shy away from competition. And that's what it seems like Bob Arum's doing. He's shying away from.
He's taking a knee, basically, is what
there you go.
He's taking a knee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a joke. It's absolutely, it's a joke. Boxing is a completely different sport. Your fans are going to be your fans no matter what. Don't worry about the basketball crap or the football crap or the baseball crap. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, as just a kind of a layman type of guy, who cares? You put on a good boxing match, guess what? People are going to come.
Especially
if it's right in the middle of the freaking seventh game of the freaking whatever it is.
You know what you do? You get someone like a Chon Cepeda and you say, "Hey, Chon, we got to fight for you." It isn't. Look at it. It's a stay busy fight. It isn't. It isn't the guy that you're supposed to be getting a title shot. We got to still sort that out. But hey, we're going to throw enough money at you to get you on that card. And you go and you say, "Okay, all you do is you just continue to show the highlights of the fight of the year. That was Ring Magazine Fight of the Year, Boxing Writers Association.
Easy money.
You go and I've seen that. I've actually seen promotions where the co-main was promoted heavier than the main event because the co-main involved somebody that was in a fight of the year or something like that. When Johnny Molina fought Josecito Lopez on the undercard of Spence Porter,
that was like a special. I mean, it was a special attraction.
It was like, holy shit, dude! Josecito, the Riverside Rocky against the Gladiator. Oh my god, dude! I can't wait to see this fight. I mean,
everybody was running from the beer bars. It's like this whole thing. Just to make sure they weren't going to miss this fight.
Miss that fight.
I've been rewatching some of those fights, man, and just.
Hey, that's the thing I got to bring up to Johnny too, man. I told him prior to that fight. I told him the whole entire month before, dude. I told him what Josecito was going to do. I told him he was going to come over with that big punch and just come running across the ring.
That overhand.
I told him it was going to happen. It's like, damn it, Johnny. I think it was so telegraphed, dude. You could have put 5 stamps on that thing, dude. How'd you get hit by that? We're gonna ask him that interview though, not to dredge up old bets because I don't want him to hurt me if I get to spar with them this week. So
anyways,
it's hard. He hits.
Oh, he does really hit hard. He does. He fucked around when we went to the Tyson Fury fight. We're at the Tyson Fury fight versus Deontay Wilder.
Oh yeah.
And I was goofing around and he do like this quick little shot, man, with his cousin right there, and he caught me right in the end of my rib. Oh my God. I was like,
well, that's
your right, bro. I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I walked away and I was like, oh shit, dude.
but brother, that's your weak point. The only man to ever put you down
I know.
was me
A
with
body
a rib shot.
shot.
It was a right. And I'll never forget it. But
so anyway, so back on this whole Top Rank thing, with them kind of just, kowtowing to March Madness and whatever else is going on on ESPN and that. I mean, is that a sign of things to come? Are the wheels starting to fall off the partnership between ESPN and Top Rank? Because remember, ESPN threw a lot of money at Top Rank a few years ago, and ESPN Top Rank's actually even had to sell a couple of. He's had to facilitate a few deals to get some overseas fights broadcast. Remember the Tim Tszyu fight? A couple others. So, I mean, I don't know. Is this the beginning of the end for Top Rank with their association? It kind of
reminds me, honestly, bro, you know what it does? It kind of reminds me of the partnership in the early going with NBC and the XFL some years back.
Yeah.
It started off promising, and then something happened midway where the wheels started to fall off a little bit. I think the bigger issue right now is this Top Rank not wanting to put out the amount of fights that they should in order to suffice the fighters? Or is this a sign of the times? Is this a sign of what's to come? We're going to just get scraps rather than what our normal meal would be that we expected every year and stuff. Now we're only going to get little pieces here and there. Because Bob, I'll tell you now, based on the schedule you told me, you can't spread out fighters of that magnitude and expect to keep loyal people to Top Rank.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know that there's people involved in this, in programming, whether it's boxing and ESPN. I mean, these are the experts, and they say, okay, well, this is not the best time to show boxing, whatever. And I maybe in a traditional sense, and maybe in a normal yearly cycle, but we have not been normal in this country, in this world for the better part of a year. Since March of 2020, this has not been a normal year. I know this. I know these last couple of weeks, man, I'm sitting around on a Saturday, man, just like almost like a fiend sitting here going, man, there's no fights on. There's nothing for me to watch. I wouldn't care where the fights were, where they're being broadcast on. I want to watch some boxing.
I'd watch fights on Telemundo, and I don't even speak Spanish. I didn't care.
On the 14th, we got some Tokyo fights coming on the 14th.
Yeah, there's some fights coming from Japan. A couple of guys. I mean, there's the main event is two guys. I don't think it's for a title, but I'll watch it because
Saturday the 23rd, you got Leo and Fulton fighting, and then you got Rolly Romero on the card, so that's not a bad one.
Well, that's the next one. That's the next big one coming up, the 23rd, which is a week from this Saturday. Caleb Plant versus Caleb Truex. That's the main event for that fight. Rolando Romero's fighting that guy, Justin Paldo, whatever his name is.
Justin Paldo, 12 rounds.
But we do have, this week and next week it's been, I'm sorry, I mean last week and this week it's just a bit of, there was nothing this past weekend. There's nothing this coming weekend.
No, yeah.
Well, the Truex fight isn't until the 30th.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
No, the Truex fight's after this fight. The main event for this one is Angelo Leo and Stephen Fulton.
So I thought it was the 23rd.
No.
Oh, no.
It's the 30th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I misspoke then. So Caleb Plant. Well, see, there you go. Then 3 weeks from now, we're getting that fight.
Did I get something right?
Nah, you always get a lot right. What are you talking about?
Maybe it was initially the 23rd and they moved it. I don't know. I also see that going back to the Frampton versus Herring fight, I see that Shakur Stevenson is trying to invoke some type of a protest because he's the mandated challenge for Jamel Herring, and he's basically going to attempt to block that fight from happening, which is, in our opinion, I think it's just a ploy to get some step aside money. I mean, they probably are going to throw him some step aside money as well, but at the end of the day, Shakur Stevenson doesn't have a fan base here. Carl Frampton does have a fan base because he's a UK fighter, and the UK are big boxing fans. That's
remember what he did at the StubHub.
Well, that's why the fight's that's why the fight's taking place in London and not here.
Yeah.
So
because of that fan base,
we need to get some fights in Portland.
Yeah, where are they going to fight at?
I'm just kidding.
The Rose Garden, right? What's it called?
The Rose Garden. Yeah, that'd be nice, but no, that'll never happen. These people over here are too damn pansies. I mean, Portland is just.
There's no boxing in Portland.
I think it's kind of scary times right now because a lot of these marquee matchups that we were talking about, possibly a third fight between Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, amongst others, Canelo, Triple G, whoever it might be. These talks are all kind of fading out. And with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's like, what happens to the sport? Because this is a sport about timeline. This is a sport about necessity. Exactly. Where you have to keep constant. You have to keep feeding the animals. If you don't feed them, they're going to run away. And what's going to happen, especially with Top Rank, if they do purge the stables and a lot of these guys walk, like you said, Bob Arum's going to lock these guys up in court. And it's just going to hurt the sport. That's all it's going to do. It's going to hurt the sport. It's going to make it even harder for these guys to feed their families. It's going to make them more resentful. Some will come back. Some will just call it a day.
Don't do that, Bob Arum. Don't do that. If you're watching, or if you watch, don't do that. Let the people go. Let the boxers go and feed their families.
That's right. Don't tie him up and
do that.
Because you want to. And it's sadly with Bob Arum's reputation, I don't foresee.
Well, Bob Arum is one of the biggest opponents against what he calls a champion who holds a title hostage. Well, Bob Arum, you know what? You're an owner of a promotion that holds fighters hostage. We know what happens when a guy was to go. Let's be honest. They've been talking about Bud Crawford venturing over across the street to the PBC, but Bud knows, honestly, unless he can work out some kind of deal, Bob's going to lock him up for 2 years in court. And at Bud's age, that's catastrophic.
Oh yeah, and Bud doesn't have the money in the bank to just buy out his contract. He doesn't. And like I said, a guy like Al Heyman's not going to come to his rescue. Oh yeah, no problem. I'll sign you. Yeah, how much?
I don't think he has the skill anyway.
Well, no, I mean, you're absolutely right, Mike. Some fighters have the bargaining skill, like a guy like a Canelo, or just like in music. When Motley Crue was able to get their music catalog from Elektra Records and stuff, because Elektra Records wanted to wipe their hands with them because they thought they were done. That's not going to be the situation. As long as Bob can still make a buck on Bud, he's going to keep him. He's not just going to give something away.
Yeah.
Or he might just do it to punish him. Bob could be like that, man. It is the way it is, man.
I'm also hearing this. I also read this, and I don't know how true it is, but Eddie Hearn was quoted as saying, and Eddie Hearn negotiates pretty regularly with Bob Arum.
Yeah.
And maybe Eddie Hearn maybe spoke out of turn, what do they say? Loose lips sink ships. But apparently Eddie Hearn made a comment that Bob's getting pretty fed up with Teofimo Lopez too, with his ridiculous demands now. Because if he already kind of knows Bud's on the way out, because Bud needs to go to where the competition is. Teofimo, there are some lightweights, there's still a good amount of lightweights, but when you're pricing yourself out, when you're saying I need $10 million to fight Devin Haney, and you're telling
it's not reality. It's not reality.
No. You'll be lucky if you get a million or two.
Who technically up to that loss was probably considered the pound for pound best fighter in the world, can't get that kind of money. So where does Teofimo in his very limited boxing logic feel that he's going to be able to demand that kind of? I'll tell you what's going to happen. He's going to demand that for Bob. Bob's going to laugh. He's going to ask it again.
Bob's already laughing.
Yeah, he's going to tell him, you know what? I can make things really hard on you. I can make a mandatory where it is, where I'll have a guy like whether it be Devin Haney or maybe if Teofimo moves up, have him fight against Chon Zepeda, the type of fighter that he doesn't need at this juncture in his career.
Yeah. Yep. And Eddie Hearn, like I said, he mentioned that he's growing a little bit frustrated. I can go to the article and I can quote it, but this isn't verbatim. But yeah, he's saying, and Bob's not one to mince words, especially if you're sitting in a room with him, you're negotiating about something, and the conversation goes from the fight at hand to what's going on with this
very impatient
fighter. Yeah. I mean, Devin Haney's not saying, give me 10 million. Even Ryan Garcia is not even saying, give me 10 million. I mean, Ryan Garcia's got an inflated ego to match Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. I don't think he's really deserves to have the ego that he has, but I think this is code for, I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want to fight anybody that's any sort of a threat unless I get cash out money, unless I get career ending money.
Yeah.
I saw a thing with Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman, he has these tendencies where sometimes he says things that they're kind of brilliant in the way he says it. I'm saying? Maybe it's all the meditating he does in the park or whatever's in that pipe. I don't know. But he made a comment. They were talking about Teofimo and the $10 million. And he says that, come on, man. It's a sign of the times, man. He's all, we got fighters out there that already act like they won the title, and they didn't even step in the ring to fight the champ yet. It's like, these are the kind of times that we live in now, where guys kind of like have built their own resume in their mind. They haven't done it yet. They want instant Yeah, it doesn't come
satisfaction,
that way.
instant gratification. They want instant start. They want to be Floyd Mayweather without putting in Mayweather work. You got to remember, Floyd Mayweather fought, for a good 8 to 10 years as Pretty Boy Floyd, where he's fighting guys like Angel Manfredi, Chiquinito Hernandez, Diego Corrales. This was all for years before the De La Hoya fight that kind of put him on the map. And this is not an homage to Floyd, but I mean, like I said, these guys are using Floyd as the blueprint. I want to be dedicated. And Floyd put the work in, and Floyd fought pretty much everybody out there. And you can have a whole debate on when he fought him.
What do you have? 50 fights?
Yeah, 50 fights. But you can have a debate on when he fought him, if he got him at the right time. Did he get Miguel Cotto at the right time? Did he get Sugar Shane Mosley at the right time? Did he really beat De La Hoya? Did he, I don't believe he beat Jose Luis Ramirez in that first fight.
He didn't win that fight.
But either way, but like I said, these guys with 15, 16 fights already acting like they're fucking the money man. Shut up, man.
Look at you got guys like Edgar Berger out there criticizing guys like Canelo Alvarez and talking about other guys within the division, even guys at 168, how he would just walk through them. I'm like, come on, man. You have yet to fight somebody with a pulse. I mean, literally, they're rolling these guys in like Hannibal Lecter on a freaking dolly. I mean, it's ridiculous, dude.
And this is like what we were saying last week, man. These fighters today, they just
delusions of grandeur, bro.
These new crop of fighters, man. It's the social media mindset.
Well, that's the one thing that Floyd never did, bro.
Maybe it's because they're all millennials.
Probably.
Yeah, that's it. That's it in a heartbeat. That's it in a heartbeat. They
all
just
don't think right.
Participation trophies when they lost. So they think they're special. And you know what? You're not special. You either win or you lose, one or the other. But you know what? If you lose, you learn from it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you come back better, or you just go away.
My daughter would never, when my daughter was playing soccer after she got done figure skating, they tried to give her when her team, she won the championship the first year. Second year, they were the co-champions. Third year, they completely fell apart.
I was at that game, I think.
And they tried to give them a participation trophy.
I'm sorry, what is a co-champion?
Like the second place. No. I mean, they came in second place. They lost in the championship. But bottom line is, her final year, they tried to give her a participation trophy. I never forget my daughter. She dropped the little medal she had in the trash. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, please, Dad, a participation. She's like, I don't think so. She's like, it's like you either win or you don't.
Know what, hey, brother, that is the Mendiola mindset. Oh. That is why
Ricky Bobby, dude, you're the first or you're last.
We don't bullshit. We don't bullshit. You either win or you lose. And if you lose, you just pick yourself up and you go back again.
Yeah.
I don't lose.
Me? I mean, I just don't.
No, I know. So getting back what I was saying, bro, about the situation with Bob Arum and stuff, I think what's going to come down to is, he's going to have to some point, like I said, with Floyd. I'm sorry, I was talking about Floyd. Floyd may have had a good script and how he became who he is, but he never taught this to these other guys. He works too much about. I saw Devin Haney in a picture the other day holding all this money, all that Floyd Mayweather. I'm thinking to myself, you know what?
It's like been there, done that. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. It doesn't impress anybody anymore.
But especially in these times, bro, when there's people that are just struggling to just feed their family, and you're walking around like, oh, I dropped that, oh, whatever. That's not the right message for the sport. No. And this goes back to what we talked about. There needs to be stricter guidelines when you're a participating athlete within the sport. There has to be some type of ethics. I mean,
you mean like a code of conduct, maybe?
They have nothing. These guys just do whatever they want to do. It's like watching Long Beach Poly sidelines. It's ridiculous.
Well, they're enabled. They're enabled by because they have a social media following, and some of them don't even have it. Teofimo's got I think we have more subscribers on our channel than Teofimo has. He doesn't have a big presence on social media. He's nowhere near like even a Devin Haney or a Tank Davis or a Leo Santa Cruz. These guys are popular fighters.
Well, I saw he put a tweet out something about how he would knock out Devin Haney in a couple rounds, and people are like attacking him. Like, dude, you said the same thing about Lomachenko. That guy didn't even come out to fight for half the fight. You didn't do shit. You didn't put out Nakatani either. So stop talking. You're not that one hitter quitter. Maybe against Mason Menard and a beat up, one foot in the grave Diego Maldonado, but against a guy like Devin Haney who's not like that, it's not going to happen, man.
No, he'll never fight Devin Haney. He won't fight Ryan Garcia. He won't fight Tank Davis. I think like I said, he's going to fight he's going to follow the Terrence Bud Crawford blueprint of how to keep my nice undefeated record, fighting guys and claiming that I'm the best in this division when the resume doesn't prove it. And the proof's in the pudding. This is called prize fighting. Okay. Prize fighting. These guys fight for a prize, right? All the money's being made on the other side of the street, right? The top ranked guys aren't making the money. And if Teofimo wants to sit there and hold out for 10 million, hey, you know what? Hey, I want $10 million for my next real estate deal. The house is only worth 500,000. I want 10 million for it.
I'm telling you, bro, it comes down to that. It comes down to what Riddick Bowe said about barbershop talk. You go in sometimes one of those old barbershops and these guys know boxing. They know boxing. They really know boxing. And you walk inside there and it doesn't matter who you are. Riddick Bowe couldn't go into this one barbershop because every time he walked in there, they threw a name at him. Lennox Lewis, man, you never fought it. You never did it. You never did it.
Yeah.
This man made a comeback to try to get back into boxing. He already had like dementia. So maybe he can get Lennox Lewis, draw him into a fight, dude. I mean, come on. Dude.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's a great analogy. That is freaking amazing.
No, it's true. It's true.
Mike, you've been to New York. You know, it's in those bars and some of those barbershops, man. You better know your shit. And if you were a half-ass jive talking turkey, they're gonna let you know you're a half-ass jive talking turkey. And
man,
find out real quick, bro.
Yeah. So I'm saying that's what I'm saying. People know bullshit when they see it. You know what I mean? They just do. And real boxing fans know bullshit when they see it. They know what's real, and they know when they're being forced or spoon-fed something that's not. So
it's like Carl Frampton's fight coming up. The guy that he fought, that Tyler McCurry, that guy was talking like he was the next Floyd Mayweather. And look what Frampton did. Frampton went there and said, nope, I'm going to end this all today.
Well, you know what I think too, in that, if I remember right in that fight, I mean, Frampton went some rounds and they were kind of saying, well, maybe, Frampton's, it took him a little while to figure the guy out. I think Frampton wanted to get some rounds in. I really did. I really do. I think he wanted to get some rounds in because, it's obviously he did say, hey, this is 2020. It was his only fight of 2020, right? Or did he have one at the end of 2019, maybe?
No, but they talk like this guy, McCurry, like he was the A side, like Frampton was on his way out.
Yeah.
He was a stepping stone, and Frampton said, hey, I'm going to put a halt to that shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked good.
Yeah.
I thought Frampton looked really good.
He did.
Strong.
Okay, so real quick, Frampton versus Herring. What are you guys' early predictions?
I think Frampton outboxes him. I do. I think Frampton beats him in a decision.
I see Frampton. If Herring had issues with Oquendo, Jonathan, and nothing against Jonathan Oquendo, he's a tough guy. He's a guy that's been around for a while. But if he had problems with him, he's not going to be able to handle that pressure from the Jackal. I could actually see, like Mike said, a wide decision or possibly a late round stoppage.
Yeah, very, very possible. I mean, if Jamel Herring doesn't make a miraculous 180 from that last performance, he could get stopped late.
Well, the problem with Herring is Herring's not grease lightning. He's not technically a skilled fighter. He's just a sound fighter.
He's not terribly fast.
But neither one of them actually have that really.
Frampton's got a little bit of pop. I think Frampton's got underestimated power. He showed that against Leo Santa Cruz and a few other fighters, even against Josh Warren.
He's the only guy prior to Tank Davis. He's the only guy that I ever saw hurt Leo. He hit Leo with a couple of shots and buckled Leo. Okay. I think it was in that first fight. Yeah. But Frampton, obviously
Frampton definitely has more pop than Herring.
Yeah.
Neither one of them are really, really like knockout artists.
No.
Okay, so which is great, but thanks for the info. I appreciate.
But ring savvy wise, I gotta give it to the Jackal. I think the Jackal's just. I don't think he's done yet. I think he's still got a lot of fight left in him. You know what I'm saying?
He does. I mean, he's a guy that probably, he takes care of himself. He doesn't blow up in between fights. He's a family man. He probably he stays grounded, and he's just a tough guy, man. He's a tough guy.
Let's be honest. I mean, other than the Warrington fight where he took a lot of unnecessary legal blows, he's never really took a beating. Even in the Leo Santa Cruz fight, I mean, it was a squeaker. You know what I'm saying?
Both fights were razor thin. He clearly won the first fight. I was rooting for him in that second fight, but he lost. I had it like 7 rounds to 5 for Leo. Leo won that fight by a round. I think he pulled it off by a round or two. But this was Leo Santa Cruz in his prime. This was Leo Santa Cruz fighting at a weight he needed to be fighting at. You know what I mean?
Well, not only that, everybody always gives, Canelo things about fighting bigger fighters. You talk about a guy who's every fighter he fights is so much bigger than him. Carl Frampton.
That's what we said at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
We said he always gives up height and reach. Always.
Every time.
He's a small guy. What is he? 5'5"?
Yeah, if that. Yeah.
5'5" and a half. And he's fighting guys 5'8", 5'9". I mean, Jamel Herring's about 5'9", right? Jamel Herring's about 4 inches taller than him. So,
well, we just saw a fight here recently where the height difference was Who was that? God,
Canelo and Callum Smith.
Canelo, Callum Smith.
Yeah. And you know what? If you're a better boxer, you're a better boxer, period.
Yeah. It's true.
I think that's what the Jackal brings. I mean, I think with this victory, it kind of catapults him in a situation to where there's going to be some interesting matchups. But once again, it just depends on what's going to happen. Unfortunately, he is under top rank. So we'll see what happens.
Well, he does have a co-promoter in the UK. What do you think? Okay, the winner of this fight, let's say it's Carl Frampton, I think we all think Carl Frampton has the ability to pull this out. Where does he go from there at 130? Does he fight a Jojo Diaz? Does he fight a Leo Santa Cruz for the third time at 130, which is the fight that I really always wanted to see, and I was really disappointed that they didn't fight a third time. And I hold that against Leo and his team for not honoring and giving Carl one fight in his hometown, in his backyard.
And that was supposed to happen, wasn't there? There was some talk about it.
He gave him his word. He said, I'll fight you a third time in Ireland this time, but it never happened. And I know that's still a sore subject for Frampton.
What weight is that again?
Super featherweight.
130. Yeah, they're fighting at 130.
Well, the thing is with Carl Frampton right now, bro, honestly, I would have to say I would stay away from Jojo Diaz. I think Jojo Diaz is technically the wrong style for Frampton. Frampton is a come-to kind of fighter. Well, so is Jojo Diaz. And to me, Jojo Diaz is extremely strong for that division, even above Carl Frampton. I think a more interesting bout would be a third bout with Leo based on their two close bouts before that trilogy bout. I mean, they've already both got names as far as what they did in the ring. I think that's the way to go.
And preferably not in the States. And as much as I would love to be able to see that fight live, go there. I think it's only fair that especially if Frampton wins this fight and wins this title from Jamel Herring, he can now say, "Hey, look, Leo, I'm the title. You failed against Tank Davis. I'll give you a shot against me at 130. Let's see if you can come to the UK and take my title, whether it be in London or in Ireland."
Well, I know they rescheduled Valdez. I'm sorry, the Valdez-Burchelt fight.
So that was finally rescheduled. That's
finally rescheduled. Now, let's say for some reason, some miraculous reason, Valdez comes out on top. And don't get me wrong, I like Oscar Valdez. I just think the kid takes too many punches. And against a dangerous fighter like Miguel Burchelt, it's not a winning recipe. But if Valdez does win that fight, that would be an interesting matchup between him and Carl Frampton.
That'd be a great fight.
Great fight. That's the fight I want to see. So if you're rooting for a winner of the Burchelt Valdez, root for Valdez, because later on that matchup, Valdez Frampton is a barn burner, dude.
That could be a great fight. What about you've got Tevin Farmer too? I don't think they haven't officially made that fight. Tevin Farmer against Carl Frampton could be a good fight. Wow, Tevin Farmer against Jamel Herring will be a great fight.
Either one of those could possibly be a fight of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I could see Frampton and Valdez could be a fight of the year. With Valdez taking on Burchelt, what I see Valdez starting strong and winning the first, because Burchelt's as strong as he is, he's not very fast and he's a bit of a slow starter. But I just see Burchelt kind of wearing him down. But if Oscar could fight the perfect fight where he wins the early rounds and just does enough in the middle to late rounds to not get caught and to just, because Burchelt will give up rounds. Valdez is the faster fighter and slicker fighter, in my opinion.
And Burchelt has been dropped. Not as many times as Valdez, but that's where this could turn out to be a Baranchek, Zepeda type of fight.
Yeah.
Because there's been so many times that Oscar Valdez has been in a situation where you think he's done. He's been dropped, and this kid always finds a way to come back. I mean, he's a blood and guts. If you love those type of fighters, that John Molina, Chon Zepeda, Mickey Ward, Arturo Gotti kind of guy, Oscar Valdez is your guy. But so is Burchelt. And Burchelt to me is kind of a scary nemesis in that division. I think the only person who's going to be truly successful against Burchelt in that division is Jojo Diaz.
Isn't that a vacant title right now too, or no?
Which one?
The
Herring?
Super featherweight, 130, vacant title.
I think. No, Herring's the champion, right? Jamel Herring's the champion. He's got one of the belts at 130. There might be one or two belts that are vacant in that division because remember, like we said last time, we've got 4 belts and then a couple of the fringe IBO and whatever else. But
Well, exactly. I mean, and there's a lot of young fighters that are coming up in that division too. One of them was a fighter that we watched and we actually talked about too was Chris Colbert. And he was a guy that was mentioning guys like Oscar Valdez and guys like Carl Frampton. I think based off of his last performance and how he kind of struggled, that tone's kind of changed a little bit. But he's an exciting young fighter that's coming up. That was actually part of a documentary years ago and stuff that showed a rising young amateur. But, you know, Shakur Stevens, he's not the only person in that division right now who thinks he's making noise, because in reality, he's got some really, really strong guys in front of him, and guys like Tevin Farmer, Oscar Valdez, Miguel Burchell, Jojo Diaz, and Carl Frampton. That's a big list to get by before you even talk about cementing up.
Well, and that's the thing. Until he fights one of those guys, and let's say he fights one of those guys and he looks devastating, which I don't think he's going to do, because based on that last fight that he fought that against that kid whose trainer couldn't even be there, so Freddie Roach had to kind of jump in and sub out for the trainer. I mean, he went to full 10 rounds with that
10
guy.
Rounds.
10. And I mean, he hit that guy with everything and never.
Claire.
Doesn't have the pop that he thinks he has. But I think we just accidentally discovered that the 130-pound division might be a close number 2 to the 147-pound division, because we talk about 147. I don't even think until we sat here and had this discussion, that goddamn, there's a lot of guys at 130 that could.
I'm telling you, bro. And I tell you, they were talking about just the other day. They were talking about Jojo Diaz, and they were talking about you know, his upcoming, you know, what his thoughts are. And I'm gonna tell you now, Jojo's been fighting with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, which is good, you know. That's always been the only knock on Jojo, kind of like with Cho and Cepeda, where they doubt themselves at certain times and stuff.
Well, I don't think Jojo doubts himself, bro. I think Jojo's been in a situation with Golden Boy where I don't think he's been happy for the better part of the last 2 years. He's really just not getting the fights he thinks that he deserves, I think.
Well, that Tevin Farmer fight, whatever it was, he went in there with the right attitude, the right
got mentality. Cut bad. Got a bad cut.
I'll be honest with you. A lot of people can say whatever they want about Tevin Farmer, but he is a very talented fighter. He is a guy that it wasn't that Tevin Farmer had an off night. It's that Jojo Diaz just brought the parade with him, dude.
Yeah, he wasn't going to be denied. Yeah, he wasn't going to be denied.
Not going to be denied. And the times where Jojo kind of tailed off in fights and maybe didn't, you know, finish those rounds strong or gave up late rounds or gave up a few, he didn't. He fought every moment of that fight like it was.
Well, his only loss was against Gary Russell Jr., right?
Yeah, correct.
Still one of the best fighters pound, even though he's not active enough to really claim a spot inside the top 10 pound for pound. But anybody that knows Gary Russell Jr., he is one of the most skilled fighters in the world. I mean,
but Gary Russell pretty much had his way with Jojo for most of the fight. Jojo.
That's what I'm saying, but that was his only loss. I mean, there's no shame in losing to Gary Russell Jr.
Oh no, Jerry Russell Jr. is very talented. You know what I'm saying? I know there was talks about him coming up, and did he try to challenge Bud Crawford or something? What is that?
Well, they had fought, I think. They had fought before, I think. They had sparred, I think. Whatever. But what about, you know, that leads us to another potential how would you want to say, another entry into that whole 130-pound division? What if Vasily Lomachenko decided to say, hey, you know what, maybe 135 is not really.
Oh boy,
drop down to 130. You got Burchell. You've got all these guys at 130. You've got Shakur Stevenson's at
you know how much money, honestly, if you were Vasily's manager, if you really want to make money on your last, you know, the last part of the golden age of your career, drop down to 130. Key matchups with Burchell, Jojo Diaz, Farmer, Oscar Valdez. I mean, you could sit here. I mean,
you make a fortune.
Dude, that's your next 4 years right there. And not to mention the guys coming up, Shakur Stevens. How many people would love to see Big Mouth Shakur Stevens in there with Vasily Lomachenko and have a guy go in there and give him a boxing lesson?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'd pay for it.
Yep.
You know? I mean,
I'd buy the pay-per-view.
You make a great point, though, bro. We never really did look at the division like we should have really looked at it, because it's always been a very competitive division in the past years and stuff. It's kind of been overlooked because of an NO weight a little bit lower and stuff. And then you got, you know, obviously you go into the lightweight, you got Teofimo and you got Lomachenko, and then you got a little higher and stuff. You got Prograis, you got Jones Cepeda, and then obviously you got the welterweight. That's probably one of the hottest divisions in boxing right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. The 147 is the hottest division of boxing. It just is. So I don't know, man. Some interesting things happening, but, you know, obviously nothing interesting's happening this week or next week. we got to wait, I guess, like I said, now to the 30th to get that. I mean, I'm looking forward to that card on the 23rd. I'm looking forward to see how Rolly Romero can bounce back from what I thought was a clear law that he was able to walk out of there with some form of the WBA title. I don't know what it was called, the WBA, interim cardboard paper email champion. I don't know what it was, but he, I'm looking forward to see if he bounces back,
Well, it's interesting in that fight, bro, because that fight, against, that Jackson Morenez was really sad.
The Colombian guy, right? He was Colombian.
That kid came in and he really fought a masterful fight. It looked like Rolly came in with a sparring partner mentality, like he was fighting against, Ryan Garcia or something, just trying to take this guy's head off. And it didn't work. This guy was putting Rolly in these vulnerable positions and making him look amateurish. How those decisions came back, it was disgusting. It was one of those things where I went back and I thought to myself, the look on that kid's eyes after the fight, it's one of those tough fights to watch.
I think we're gonna have to do devote an entire show to the worst decisions in the last year or 2 years, because there's a lot of them. That one sticks out in my mind.
That would be great.
The Lee Selby fight sticks out in my mind. But there's been quite a few others that you just whatever. But
yeah, you just scratch your head.
That's too bad.
But this goes back to our discussion we had last week, bro, where there has to be some change in boxing. There has to be some accountability. Some of these people that are making the decisions where it's almost like they're not watching the fight, and as soon as the fight's called, it's like, oh, is the fight over? They just throw something down and hand a paper in. It can't work that way anymore. Maybe we need to have more ringside supervisors that are watching these guys that are watching the fight.
Yeah, are they even watching the fight? Are they looking down at their phone? What are they doing?
Yeah, and question it, because honestly, you can't continue to have things, because there's two reasons. Number one, the fans, and number two, and Neil could talk about this when he comes on, Vegas. Believe me, Vegas goes crazy when they get decisions like this when it shouldn't happen. When things like that shouldn't happen, when the guys who should have won the money don't win the money because they're like, this is bullshit. I just dropped a bundle and I got ripped off on a decision. Last time I bet on this shit, I walk away.
Yeah, they walk away. Vegas is already struggling. And when Vegas clearly puts has the line wrong or has an angle that somebody sees, and they clearly beat the house, and then they don't get paid. That turns people away. People go, I'm not coming here no more. Speaking of lines and stuff, to change the subject real quick as we kind of wrap this one up. What did you guys think of that national title game last night? Did you guys watch it? I watched the whole game.
I didn't even get to. You tell me. I caught a little bit of it, bro. And I was
I watched part of it. I watched the last half of it.
I watched the whole game, man. I tell you, I was happy to see Bama win, and I've never been a big Bama fan, but there's one thing I could not stomach is if a team that only played 6 games won the national title. I mean, they won 7 overall because they won.
What was the final
score? Their bowl game? 52-24. But you want to hear something crazy? So the point total, right? And this came from Neil in Vegas, our inside man in Vegas. The line opened up at 76, the over under, right? That's exactly what the game finished off at, 76 points.
Kidding me, dude.
And nobody scored in like the last 12 minutes of the game, not even a field goal. I was happy to see Bama win. I was happy to see Nick Saban get his 7th national title. He passed Bear Bryant. In my opinion, he was always better than Bear Bryant, because back when Bear Bryant was winning national titles, there was no playoff format.
Did they even wear helmets back then?
Yeah, they were just crowning somebody the champion. You know what I mean, based on posters and stuff. So
real quick, everybody here that is listening, both AJ and Michael and myself all played semi-pro ball, so we know what we're talking about as far as football goes.
Yeah, we coached
developmental professional football.
Yeah, we coached, and we spent the better part of a decade and a half in that. But that's a whole nother show.
That was way before people were choosing sides, man. I didn't care what color a guy was, man. As long as he could carry the football and he paid his team fees and he came to practice and didn't steal my uniform. I loved him.
Yeah, but anyways, going back to this game, man. That kid, Mac Jones. And the kid, Devonta Smith, that receiver for Alabama. And I know, AJ, you said you didn't watch the game, and you probably didn't watch Alabama all season. You have to look at this kid. This kid he's got the exact same body style and frame as Andre Velasquez. Tall, skinny. They tell him he's undersized, these long zebra-like legs. The kid is not only such an amazing talent on the field, the kid is the most humble, gracious. I love this kid.
Like a Jerry Rice.
Different though. He's just different. You look at this kid and he just has a look in his eyes like this guy goes out there and does things on the football field that are mind-boggling. And I've seen everything there is to see on a football field. Some of the things he still does blows me away. The catches he makes, how he gets his feet in, but he scores. He gives the ball to the referee. He might do a little bit of this with his, and then he's back to the sidelines, and he's not.
One of the kids. He's one of the kids that enjoys the moment and doesn't look forward to.
No, it's not even the moment. He He obviously enjoys the moment, but the team and the win is the biggest part of what this kid's doing.
Yeah.
He could have all the stats in the world, but it's all about the team. Nick Saban, this kid will probably go down as definitely the top 3 players that he's ever coached, and the kid's going to the NFL now. Right, he's going to the NFL, and he's going to be probably a first. It's going to be between him and Trevor Lawrence, who gets picked first. Okay,
probably going to be Trevor Lawrence. It's usually a quarterback.
It's usually a quarterback, but this kid will be top 3. This kid is phenomenal.
But being the number 1 draft pick in the NFL is also kind of a curse too. So something you really don't want to have anyways.
Well, they also said that's what they were talking about last night. They were saying the Heisman jinx, because the kid won the Heisman, and still he was a bit jinx. I guess you can still say that because in the second half, probably right at midway through the third quarter, Mac Jones threw a pass he shouldn't have thrown. And when Devonta tried to catch the ball, the minute he was catching it, this linebacker just bailed in on him. And when he hit him, you saw his hand. He basically because his hands were like this, trying to catch the ball, and his right hand kind of got bent funny. And sure enough, he immediately knew it. He was in the tent for 20 minutes. They took him to the locker room. He was done. He had a cast on his hand, a soft cast, but it was either a severe dislocation or some type of a fracture. So he was done. He didn't play the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So
good kid though.
Maybe there is still a jinx, because even though they won the game and he had ridiculous numbers, he came out of that with the who
are they talking about? Just hypothetical right now. Do you know who they're talking about? Because like you said, I don't watch the NFL anymore. But who are they talking about will get the first round? Who has that opportunity with the first round?
I think it's Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ugh.
Jacksonville, and then I know the Jets were way down there.
If I had a choice between Jacksonville and the Jets, I'm going to Jacksonville. I'm not going to the Jets.
I wouldn't want to go to cold weather. I mean, especially if you're a kid like a Trevor Lawrence, who's from Georgia, he's a Southern boy. He's probably not used to that cold.
Sunshine.
He wants the sunshine and that muggy. He's from Georgia. He's probably used to the mugginess. It won't affect him at all. But Georgia's one state over from Florida, right?
Or those mosquitoes that are the size of a parakeet, dude.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, congrats to Alabama and that, and Ohio State. I loved every second of it last night, watching them get beat, because like I said, nothing against their talent. They're a talented team, very talented team, got a good coach. But when you
can't get in with an asterisk, man.
Well, that's the thing, though. In my opinion, it doesn't even matter how good they were. The testament to a football team is to play an entire season. Yeah. When everybody else is playing 10, 11 games and you're playing 6, like I'll give you an example. BYU only lost 1 game. Coastal Carolina was undefeated till their bowl game. San Jose State was undefeated till they had a total meltdown in the bowl game. These are teams that now, if Ohio State would have played Michigan, who that game got canceled, I believe their game against Michigan State got canceled because of COVID. If they could have easily got
a lot of their tough games got conveniently canceled. Remember, I talked to you about how this could be an easy thing to use, this COVID. Yeah. When you don't want to fight, it's going to happen in boxing, bro. I guarantee you watch, you're going to have a marquee fight. One of the fighters are going to finally wake up and go, maybe I should be fighting this guy. Hey, guess what? I think I tested positive for COVID. Boom.
Yeah. They go out and they start licking handrails at the freaking Walmart.
I do that all the time.
And honestly, I'm not trying to get no COVID thing. We'll talk about this in our other show that we're going to be doing here really soon. We'll talk about that more probably our next show. But what are employers going to do? When an employee comes in and goes, you know what, I'm running temperature, I think I got COVID, because technically that's workers' comp. If they're out, you still got to pay them. So you got to have a slew of employees out there.
AJ, that's it's already happening.
Oh my God!
No, it's emergency relief fund. Yeah, it's like an emergency relief fund. If you're sick, like Val, our guitar player tested positive a few weeks back for COVID. He was paid while he was off. They say you have to quarantine and a lot of people, I'm not saying people are, because they have to obviously provide the documentation that they did test positive, but here's
you get 4 weeks off of work, dude. I'm going to have
Can I just say that I'm tested positive?
Oh, you can't.
No. What I think what people are doing now, and this is what I'm kind of finding out, is people are saying that they came in contact with somebody who tests positive. because they're saying my daughter, as you guys know, my daughter works for the COVID testing center. She's been working for them the entire summer, and she's a safety supervisor. And she says, so people will come in contact with somebody and they have to test immediately. Then they have to test again after 3 days. And then on the 8th and 9th and 10th day, they have to test one of those 3. So you could test on on the 1st of the month, but then you have to test again on the 8th or the 9th of the month. So you could basically not be exhibiting any symptoms, and you will come out with a false negative when you technically could be positive. So people are using this to their advantage. Don't even for a second.
For the flu. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. It's for the flu. It's a flu.
I don't know. My daughter, both of her friends about 15 days ago got sick. I guess both of them said they had COVID or whatever like this. My daughter never did anything. She quarantined. She did whatever like this. Myself, nothing. I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't want to be one of those skeptical people that say whatever like this.
No. I mean, you were just asking the question about, are people? Yeah, no, there is a fund. If you're working for a company and you
I know
the quarantine, they cannot not pay you. That is
we got notified because my son's and my daughter's school fall under the LA Unified School District because of where they're located. And it's mandatory if school comes back that they have to be vaccinated. So that's it for my son. Because he can't, with his condition, he can't be vaccinated.
Nope.
So he's done.
Yeah, you know what? It's not worth it. It's totally not worth it. You know what? Homeschool.
His condition is allergies. He can't do it.
Kids. I homeschooled all 4 of my kids up until high school, and then we put them off to high school. But you know what? They're amazing kids.
All smart, super smart.
All smart, super smart. And you know what? Don't put up with this bullshit. You know what?
Paul doesn't like anybody anyways, dude. So he just wants to stay home and work on Zoom and listen to Slipknot. That's all he cares about.
All right, guys. So let's end on this. Let's end on this note. I'll tell you guys a quick story really quick. Sure. So I had to get some work done on my car today. So I left my car at the Hyundai dealership here, and I'm just aimlessly kind of walking around. I probably look like a hobo. Yeah, I got an SUV. So I'm aimlessly walking through the Best Buy parking lot, and I hear somebody, they shout out a profanity to me, and I turn around, and it's John Molina, John Molina, the Gladiator.
The Gladiator.
He had to go return something at the Best Buy. So anyways, we sat there, we talked for 15, 20 minutes. So I know we had been talking about getting Johnny on the show. So he's confirmed with me today, next Tuesday. Awesome. What is that? The 19th, Tuesday, the 19th, he will be here. He's going to call in. He's going to video chat in with us on the show. So we'll take some notes down. We'll talk to him. There's a lot of things he says he wants to talk about boxing. He obviously has been sitting back and watching boxing for the last year since he retired. And as you guys know, he's a LA County sheriff's deputy now. He's got some interesting stories there. I mean, I was standing in the parking lot with him for 20 minutes. We were just cracking up. He was telling me some of these stories. And so John Molina Jr. is going to be with us next week.
That's going to be a great, honestly, because there's a lot of questions with Johnny at this point, leaving boxing, like this. I know the questions. I have the one major question. Well, 2 questions I have to ask him. The punch from Josecito, and I got to ask him what he said about Mickey Bay. Those are things that need to be known.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. I even told him that. So he'll be with us. And then I made the mistake. You know how you talk about when he hit you? I made the mistake of giving him, the fist bump as we were leaving. Oh. And I went, God damn, now my hand's going to hurt for the next 2 hours now. Because the guy's got freaking cast iron. I'm not kidding you. You. John, no, it's not that. It's the calcium buildup in Johnny's hands is so much so that his hands they're probably 10 times harder than a normal human's hands. I'm not kidding you when I say that. Yeah. They're heavy and they hurt. If he makes a fist and goes like that in your hand, I swear to God, if you've never had a heavy-handed professional fighter hit you in the hand, you don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm not kidding when I say that.
Well, we'll be able to show everybody if I get to spar with Johnny, and when I come with all the lumps and bruises on my face, I'm sitting here, dude, you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
So anyway, so that'll be next Tuesday. We'll obviously be back on Sunday. I mean, I guess there won't be a whole lot to talk about, but I'm sure there will be something that transpires between now and Sunday.
Absolutely.
We'll just continue to read the headlines, read Boxing Scene, Box Rec, whatever. So anything else you guys want to close out on? We've been going about an hour and 10 now. So
no, I'm good. I'm just like I said, everybody, you guys stay safe, bro, man. I look forward to that interview with Johnny, and I'll see you guys on Sunday.
And Eric, have a good time up at the coast. Be safe, man.
Eric the Red won't be with us on Sunday. He won't be with us on Sunday, right, bro?
Sunday, I'll be there Sunday.
Okay, so Tuesday you won't be there.
No. He's leaving this week. He's going.
No, we're good. I'm good.
He's going this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So he'll be back by Sunday. And then, because I know you're going to be there next Tuesday. I know you got some things you want to talk to Johnny about it, ask him, you know. So
absolutely.
Oh,
Hey,
anyways,
I have nothing
God
to do.
bless,
So I'll be
guys.
there.
God bless. God bless. God bless.
all right, guys. So for all of us at Enter the Ring Live, I guess we will see you guys Sunday, 5:00 on the West Coast, 8:00 Eastern. Have a good rest of the week, everybody.
Did you
Don't
want
forget
to go ahead and plug our next one or no?
No.
Okay. All right. God bless. See ya.
God bless, guys.